before the flood, before Abraham, before the rise of nations. It all begins with one book, Genesis, a story of beginnings, of creation and betrayal, of giants and floods, of promises and hope that shape the course of history itself. In its pages, the universe is spoken into existence. Humanity takes its first breath. And then its first fall. A brother turns against his brother. The world is drowned in judgment. Towers are built to reach the heavens, and God scatters the nations. But Genesis isn't just about the world's first chapters. It's about the people who would carry God's promise. Abraham, called to leave everything and trust the unseen. Jacob, the trickster who wrestled with God. Joseph, betrayed by his brothers, rising from a pit to the throne of Egypt and saving the very family that tried to destroy him. This is more than ancient history. It's a drama of faith, failure, and redemption, a foundation for everything that comes after. And in this video, we'll walk through Genesis chapter by chapter, bringing its stories to life like never before. Creation, the fall, the flood, the fathers of faith, the beginnings of Israel. So get ready, because the story of everything starts here. Creation. In the beginning there was nothing. No sound, no light, no shape, just emptiness. And then God spoke. With his word alone, the universe was born. Day 1. Light bursts into the void. Darkness and day are separated, and time itself begins. Day 2. The sky is stretched out above the waters, heaven and earth now divided. Day 3. The waters gather and dry land appears. From the soil spring grass, trees and fruit, life begins to bloom. Day 4. The sun, moon, and stars are set in the heavens, lights to rule the day and night and to mark the seasons of time. Day 5. The seas fill with fish and the skies fill with birds, creatures swarming, flying, and filling the earth with movement. Day 6. The land teems with animals, from the crawling things to the mighty beasts, and then, the greatest act of all, God forms humanity in his own image. Male and female, he creates them, rulers and caretakers of his world. But this is only the beginning. God shapes the first man, Adam, from the dust of the ground, and breathes into him the breath of life. From Adam's rib, he fashions Eve, not from his head to rule over him, not from his feet to be beneath him, but from his side, a companion, equal and beloved. Together they are placed in Eden, a garden unlike any other. Rivers flow, trees flourish, and in the center stands the tree of life, and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Paradise, entrusted to humanity's care. A perfect world, unmarred by sin, where God walks with his creation. But as we'll soon see, perfection does not last for long. But paradise has a choice hidden within it, and a test at its heart. In the garden stands the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. God's command is clear. Eat from any tree you wish, but not this one. For in the day you eat of it, you will surely die. Enter the serpent, cunning, subtle, and deceptive. It whispers to Eve, "Did God really say you must not eat from any tree? You will not surely die. Instead, your eyes will be opened. You will be like God, knowing good and evil." The fruit looks good, desirable, promising wisdom. Eve takes it and eats. Then she gives it to Adam, who eats as well. In an instant, innocence is shattered. Their eyes are opened, but not to glory, to shame. They see their nakedness and scramble to cover themselves with fig leaves. They hide from the very God who walked with them in the cool of the day. God calls out, "Where are you?" Not because he doesn't know, but because humanity is now lost. Adam blames Eve. Eve blames the serpent. Excuses fill the air, but the truth is clear. Sin has entered the world. The judgment is swift. The serpent is cursed to crawl on its belly, destined for defeat. The woman will suffer pain in childbirth, and her offspring will wage war with the serpent's seed. The man will toil in sweat, working the ground that now brings forth thorns and thistles, and the greatest consequence of all, exile. God casts Adam and Eve out of Eden, away from the tree of life. A flaming sword and mighty cherubim stand guard, blocking the way back. Paradise is lost. Death has entered the human story. The world is forever changed. Outside Eden, life begins again. Adam and Eve have two sons, Cain, the firstborn, a worker of the soil, and Abel, his brother, a keeper of sheep. Both bring offerings to the Lord. Abel offers the best of his flock, and God looks with favor on him. But Cain's offering, given without the same heart, is not accepted. Envy burns in Cain's heart, and God warns him, "Sin is crouching at your door. It desires to have you, but you must rule over it." But Cain does not master it. Instead, he invites Abel into the field. And there, in a moment of rage, he strikes down his own brother. The first murder in human history, the first shedding of innocent blood. God confronts Cain. "Where is your brother Abel?" Cain replies with words that echo through history. "Am I my brother's keeper?" But the ground itself cries out. The earth soaked with Abel's blood bears witness against him. Cain is cursed to wander, a restless fugitive on the earth. Yet even in judgment, God shows mercy, placing a mark of protection on Cain so that no one would kill him. Cain's line spreads. Cities are built. Music and craftsmanship flourish. Civilization takes root. But violence, corruption, and pride also grow, a shadow stretching further across the earth. And with each generation, humanity drifts further from Eden and further from the God who made them. Time moves forward. Generations rise and fall. From Adam to Seth, from Seth to Enosh, the line of humanity stretches on. And the records tell of extraordinary lives, men and women living for centuries, 800 years, 900 years, almost 1,000. A world still young, where lifespans reach beyond what we can imagine. In this line, one name stands out: Enoch, the man who walked with God, and then was no more, for God took him. Death does not claim him. A glimpse of hope, shining amid the growing darkness. For outside this faithful line, humanity is spiraling downward. Violence, corruption, and evil thoughts fill the earth. The world God once called good is now broken, poisoned by sin. And then comes one of the Bible's greatest mysteries. The sons of God saw that the daughters of men were beautiful, and they took them as wives. From their union came the Nephilim, giants, mighty men of old, figures of legend. Were they fallen angels mingling with humans? Were they rulers and kings abusing their power? The text is brief, but the implications are staggering. Whatever their nature, the result was the same: the earth filled with corruption, tainted beyond repair, and God looks upon his creation with grief. The thoughts of man's heart are only evil continually. I regret that I have made them. But in the midst of this darkness, one man shines: Noah, a righteous man, blameless in his generation. And God speaks to him, a flood is coming. A judgment to wash the earth clean. The end of all flesh is near. But through Noah, a new beginning will come. After the flood, humanity begins again. Families grow into nations, and the world fills once more with life. But as people multiply, pride returns. The same pride that once led to Eden's fall now rises in the hearts of men. In the land of Shinar, humanity comes together with one voice and one language. They say, "Come, let us build a city, and a tower that reaches to the heavens. Let us make a name for ourselves, lest we be scattered across the earth." Their dream is not just of bricks and stone, but of glory, a monument to human power, a rebellion against God's command to fill the earth. So they stack brick upon brick, higher and higher, their tower stretching skyward like a challenge to heaven itself. But God looks down upon their work and sees where it leads. Unity twisted by pride becomes rebellion. So the Lord says, "Come, let us go down and confuse their language so they will not understand one another." In an instant, voices turn to chaos. Friends cannot understand friends. Builders drop their tools. Families scatter in frustration. The tower stands unfinished, a monument not to human greatness but to human arrogance. From there, God scatters them across the earth, dividing tongues and nations. The tower is called Babel because there the Lord confused the language of the whole world. Humanity is humbled, their pride brought low. Yet from this scattering will come nations, cultures, and ultimately the stage upon which God's greater plan will unfold. From the scattered nations, God chooses one man to begin a new story. His name is Abram, living in the city of Ur. And God speaks to him, "Leave your country, your people, and your father's household, and go to the land I will show you. I will make you into a great nation, and through you all the families of the earth will be blessed." Abram obeys, stepping out into the unknown with nothing but faith. He journeys to Canaan, and there God makes a covenant with him. "Look at the stars, so shall your descendants be." Though he is old and childless, the promise is set in stone. Abram's name is changed to Abraham, father of many, and his wife Sarai becomes Sarah. But the path is not without doubt. Sarah, unable to bear children, offers her servant Hagar to Abraham. From her comes Ishmael, the firstborn son. Yet God makes it clear, the covenant will come through Sarah, and she will bear a son in her old age. Against all odds, Isaac is born, the child of promise, laughter brought into a barren womb. Meanwhile, darkness spreads in the nearby cities of Sodom and Gomorrah. Their sin is great, and God sends judgment. But first, he warns Abraham, who pleads for mercy. Yet not even 10 righteous are found, and fire rains from heaven, leaving the cities in ashes. Only Lot, Abraham's nephew, escapes. And then comes Abraham's greatest test. God commands, "Take your son, your only son Isaac, whom you love, and sacrifice him on the mountain I will show you." With heart torn but faith unbroken, Abraham climbs Mount Moriah with Isaac. He binds his son, raises the knife, and at that moment an angel calls out, "Do not lay a hand on the boy, for now I know you fear God." A ram caught in the thicket becomes the sacrifice instead. This moment becomes the pinnacle of Abraham's faith, a picture of obedience, trust, and foreshadowing of a greater sacrifice yet to come. Through Abraham the covenant is sealed. His descendants will be as countless as the stars. His land will be Canaan, and through his line will come a blessing for the whole world. Abraham's promised son, Isaac, grows to adulthood, and God blesses him as he promised. But even in the line of promise, life is not without its twists. Isaac marries Rebekah, chosen through a miraculous sign. When Abraham's servant prays for guidance to find a wife for Isaac, Rebekah appears at the well, offering water not just for him but for his camels too. In her kindness and faith, the path of God's plan is revealed. She will be the mother of the covenant line. Rebekah bears twins, but from the very beginning, struggle stirs within her womb. The older shall serve the younger, God declares, a prophecy that will shape their lives. Esau, the firstborn, grows into a skillful hunter, a man of the field. Jacob, the younger, is gentle, dwelling in tents, drawn to home and family. Hunger and impatience bring a fateful moment. Esau returns from the field, famished, and sees Jacob cooking stew. In a rash exchange, Esau sells his birthright, the blessing of the firstborn, the inheritance of the covenant, for a simple meal. A moment of hunger costs him what he should have cherished forever. Later, as Abraham's death draws near, Isaac intends to bless Esau, unaware of God's prophecy. Rebekah, remembering the words of the Lord, orchestrates a daring plan. She dresses Jacob in Esau's clothing, covers his hands and neck with goat skins, and brings him to Isaac. The blind patriarch is deceived. Jacob receives the blessing of the firstborn, the covenant promise, and the inheritance that was intended for Esau. When Esau discovers the deception, his grief and anger shake the family. Yet God's plan cannot be thwarted. The covenant line continues through Jacob, setting the stage for the 12 tribes of Israel and the unfolding story of God's people. Jacob, the deceiver, continues the story of God's covenant line, a life full of struggle, dreams, and transformation. Fleeing from Esau's anger, Jacob journeys to Haran. One night, as he sleeps on a stone, a vision appears, a ladder reaching from earth to heaven, with angels ascending and descending. And above it, the Lord stands, reaffirming the promise made to Abraham and Isaac. The land on which you lie I will give to you and your descendants. Your offspring will be like the dust of the earth, spreading in every direction, and through you all families of the earth will be blessed. Jacob wakes in awe, calling the place Bethel, the house of God, and vows, "If God will be with me, then this stone shall be God's house." In Haran, Jacob falls in love with Rachel, the daughter of Laban. He works 7 years for her hand, but is deceived. Laban gives him Leah instead. Jacob loves Rachel still, and works another 7 years to finally marry her. Between Leah, Rachel, and their handmaids, Jacob fathers 12 sons, the future leaders of the 12 tribes of Israel, and a daughter, Dinah. These children will carry God's promise forward. Yet Jacob's life is not free from conflict. On his return to Canaan, he fears Esau's wrath. Alone one night, Jacob wrestles with a mysterious man until daybreak. This is no ordinary struggle. It is a divine encounter. Jacob refuses to let go until he is blessed. The man renames him Israel. He struggles with God, a name that will define his descendants and their destiny. And then comes reconciliation. Esau meets Jacob with a running embrace, and old wounds are healed. The brothers part as friends, a testament to God's power to redeem even deceit and fear. From trickster to patriarch, from Jacob to Israel, his life is a tapestry of lessons, faith tested, struggles endured, and promises fulfilled. Through him, the covenant continues, the foundation of God's chosen people. Jacob's favorite son, Joseph, stands out from birth, not only for his coat of many colors, but for the dreams God places in his heart, dreams of greatness, of his family bowing before him. But dreams can stir jealousy, and his brother's envy burns hot. One day they seize him, strip him of his coat, and sell him into slavery in Egypt. Alone, betrayed, and far from home, Joseph faces trials that would break most men, yet God is with him. From Potiphar's house to a prison cell, Joseph's faith and integrity shine, even in the darkest moments, and God's favor turns the tide. Interpreting dreams for Pharaoh, dreams of 7 fat cows, and 7 thin cows, 7 healthy ears of grain, and 7 thin ears, Joseph reveals a coming famine. Impressed by his wisdom, Pharaoh elevates Joseph to second in command over all Egypt, a savior for the nation during years of hunger. When famine strikes the land of Canaan, Joseph's brothers come to Egypt seeking food. They do not recognize him, and he tests their hearts. But Joseph's love and forgiveness triumph over resentment. Revealing himself, he says, "You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good, to bring it about that many people should be kept alive." Tears, reconciliation, and a family restored, the covenant line preserved through God's providence. Joseph provides for his entire family, and the Israelites settle in Egypt. What began with betrayal and hardship becomes a new beginning, a foothold for God's people in a foreign land, setting the stage for the next great chapter. The Exodus, the story of deliverance and the rise of a nation under God's hand. From the pit to the palace, from dreams to destiny, Joseph's life reminds us that even in suffering, God's plan cannot be thwarted. From the very first word, "in the beginning," Genesis tells the story of beginnings, the creation of the world, the birth of humanity, and the entrance of sin. Paradise lost, violence spreading, yet God's promise persevering through chosen families. We have seen the rise and fall of men, Cain and Abel, the first brothers' blood, the giants of old and the flood that cleansed the earth, the pride of Babel and the scattering of nations. And then the covenant line, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and Joseph, a family chosen to carry God's promise to bless all nations. Through faith, failure, forgiveness, and providence, we witness God's plan unfolding despite human weakness. From Adam's dust to Joseph's palace, Genesis reveals a God who walks with his people, guides them, tests them, and ultimately brings redemption through his covenant. And now, with Joseph's family settled in Egypt, a new chapter begins. A people multiplied, a nation growing, and the stage set for deliverance. The story of Exodus awaits, the miraculous escape from slavery, the rise of Moses, and the shaping of Israel into a nation under God's hand. Genesis is more than history. It is a story of creation and chaos, sin and salvation, human weakness and divine faithfulness. It is the foundation upon which all the rest of Scripture stands. And as we turn the page to Exodus, we see that God's plan is just beginning. A story that will carry his people through trials, miracles, and the promise of freedom.